Here with a very special guest. This guy here has been doing lots of great things in his career, multi-talented, all about positivity, giving back to the Aina, supporting his family. I am here with Kanaka Scanlan.
Aloha kako.
How you doing, man? Good to see you.
Doing good, doing good. Visiting some fam during this season and always staying busy, man. Always got a couple too many things on my plate, but we got to keep eating, right? So.
Absolutely. As I know, you're an artist. You're also a teacher at Hilo. I know you do a lot of things in the Hawaiian plants and science, and you're also a farmer as well. You know, just recently in October 28th, somewhere around that time, you released Cliché.
Actually, yeah, that song is some maybe 7, 8 maybe years ago that I wrote it. And it was back when I was going through some hard times trying to get with a beautiful lady and trying to reminisce some old times that we had from back in the day and trying to really portray my love and whatnot. Then fast forward, we ended up having a few kids together and we're no longer together, but, you know, just to share that love and to empower the women that are empowering my daughters, right? And to continue to express that love that we have for each other and our loved ones and to tell those that are close to us and to make sure it's well known without, you know, hesitating and wasting those days away. Yeah, just to be able to say, I love you and how much it is. And, you know, maybe it's not the same way that everybody else portrays their love, but, you know, just to be able to affectionately say it and portray that kind of feelings for your people.
You're also working on an album with TheseGuys.
TheseGuys is the name of our band. It's really just the four of us. And, you know, we're potentially looking into adding on some new members to take off some of the pressure from my hand. We also have Ika Akamai, who is on keyboards, and he's got his own releases, his own published works. And then we also have Paul Batad, who's like a big-time drummer. All around Hilo has been well known for drumming. And then Jalen Balunso, who's got the humble abode that we were always able to kind of coordinate our meetings at or kind of just hang out and celebrate, you know, different birthdays and occasions. But put those four good friends together and kind of just had this idea of, you know, traveling with your friends rather than just hiring, you know, employees that can play your music, creating that feeling of the live performance and creating the feeling of friendship and, you know, companionship in the music was really the key point, the emphasis that we were trying to make, rather than it just being, you know, an album of 10 songs that we put together from different producers. But these are 10 songs that we've been working on for a long time and been hanging out with each other as we produce them. So TheseGuys rolls off the tongue, right?
When we talk about your music, now I know a lot of people know you for different types of songs and, you know, releases and stuff that you've done. But in regards to your music career, you've had a lot of big hits. I know a few of them. Few of them are my favorite, of course.
Appreciate it.
Hey Kanaka, Smoke All Day, Utu Bang Bang. When we talk about those songs, because, you know, those songs were in different gears, different gaps of your career, which one is your favorite to perform? If you can compare and contrast those three songs, as far as your growth and your development between those three songs.
I like this question. Hey Kanaka, I wrote in high school trying to identify myself and figure out who my character is. And so my first name is Elijah. My whole name is Elijah Kaikena Etuale Scanlan. So I was kind of going for a self journey, trying to define my names. And that's what I came up with Hey Kanaka. That one I was kind of pushed along. I was like, you need to be a musician and you need to finish this song. You know, you should add a little more here and like, do something more, do more. And it kind of just took me by surprise. I kind of always wanted to be a musician on the side and use it as, you know, just a side income or a side hobby. And so that kind of jump-started my career. Then fast forward maybe 2-3 more years, we have the passing of Ke'ala Kawa'auhau, a legend in the Sudden Rush movement, to bring more awareness to Olel Hawaii via the radio station music and to change it up and to create more content that is worthy. So I was asked to jump on that tour. And from there, my oldest brother, gave me the advice that I need to release more content ASAP so that I don't become the substitute guy or the new Sudden Rush guy or, you know, have a weird alias on my title, but to be Kanaka Scanlan there to support Sudden Rush. So release Smoke All Day. In the next 3 months, I had to release Utu Bang Bang just so that I could kind of have two major hitters that I could go on the tour with. Utu Bang Bang, for sure. It's a hit. It's a banger. There are some regretful moments. There are some times where, you know, like 4 or 5-year-olds come running up to me and yell, Utu Bang Bang! I think, man, could have done a little bit better with that one. Could have thought a little more. Hey Kanaka is always going to be a banger and a hitter. And it's great to hear the Olela Hawaii and the self-identification being screamed at the live concerts and whatnot, to give a voice to our people and to allow more of the narrative to be spoken. But of course, Smoke All Day, there's nothing like it. It's no surprise if you've ever been to one of my live shows. When we do the second verse, we like to do it again. And it's just a lot of crowd participation where they're singing most of the song. And like, there's nothing really like that, where you stand on stage and you have the thousands of people or whatever, and they're singing the lyrics to you, and you just get to sit back and be in awe of the energy. So yeah, it's definitely my favorite to perform. I'm not doing as much of the performance, but more just spectating and watching the beauty.
Now, you mentioned about Utu Bang Bang. Now, I mean, who would have, I mean, when you think about it, right, that song became a hit. I mean, if you would have thought that that song would have been a hit, I mean, you probably would have thought about it differently, right?
Well, what had happened, so the way I wrote that song, we were in college, just a bunch of friends, and had a few drinks. There's a couple of ukuleles going around in a circle, had a kanikapila session, and we just kind of freestyled that, and a couple of other songs came up, like one called Spoon Meat. You'll probably hear that in a bit. It's going to be on the album for sure. But Utu Bang Bang came around the circle and was jamming, and everybody's freestyling verses. And I came back to my friend the next day and I said, hey, that's a hit. That's a real song. People are going to love this. And I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. So we had been sitting on it for a good 5 years, 6 years before we released that one. We had also been performing. So every time we would do a performance, we'd have that song in our catalog. And yeah, people loved it for sure. I was wondering when it was coming out. So that's what happened. But I didn't know it was going to be such a hit amongst the children. That's where I think, oh man. But yeah, it's great for people who are sitting in a circle drinking at the club. Yeah. And then the whole elementary school is screaming, Utu Bang Bang! Oh, we should have curved that one a little to the side, guys.
As I mentioned before, you know, you're multi-talented, lots of things in your career. If you had to choose one out of the three that you do, which one has to have been your favorite and why?
This is a funny misconception, but I was never a professor. I was a part-time lecturer. So I only got my bachelor's. So I haven't yet blown up to the doctorate level to become a professor. But I was lecturing up until 2019. I think that's like my civil service in a way, and like to give back to the community and to be an educator. That for sure has its perks, and I love being in that position, being able to share knowledge and to see others accepting it and to have them grow based off an experience that they had or some knowledge that they learned. Music is definitely good fun, definitely has its perks and its fun times, and the ability to express in that way, right? To just let loose as an artist, be creative, to know that you have that creative side, and to carefreeness in a way. And also the support coming from the fans when we do live shows, or, you know, just when people give me those compliments. Yeah, what's most important, which I guess that would be the most fun to me, is the farming aspect. Because I do music in order to promote the idea of Hawaiians being on Hawaiian land and farming and living off of those resources. And then I use my knowledge I gain from farming to then express that in my music and in my teachings, right? So to teach of Hawaiian plants and why it's such a vital, useful resource for our people, and the history that goes along with it. And then bottom line, it's just, you know, being able to feed my kids off of the hard work I've done. One thing to have it, you know, come in monetary form and then use that money to buy good foods. But it's a whole nother feeling to be able to walk outside, grab something out of the ground or off of a tree and sit at a table with my daughters and to share that meal. So bottom line, regardless if everything shuts down, right? And if we don't get to talk to humans anymore again, like it happened once, I would always pick farming, no matter what. Same thing if I was a musician, end up getting lost in that, fame and whatever, and the money, chasing all of that, and it drives you to a certain point, and then the end of the road, you got to ask yourself some questions. Same with teaching, right? That's kind of part of the dilemma we have with our people. Also, it's, well, why are you going to speak Hawaiian language? All you're going to end up doing is just being a teacher, right? You're only going to sit in the classroom so that you can then go and sit in the classroom for longer. So to utilize that knowledge in a hands-on real life situation is way more important to me than just being able to sit in there and point fingers and write on the board. So yeah, farming beyond it all.
As you mentioned, you were a lecturer, and,
Mm-hmm.
farmer, and now an artist. When was your realization that, okay, maybe I'll go ahead and decide to do a career in, the music scene? I mean, was it something that you just stumbled upon to do? Was it something that you always wanted to do?
So my oldest brother, like I said, Malosi Scanlan, has always been an advocate, always supporting the idea of me being a musician. And he and my father used to have that kind of relationship with music. And so when my father passed, he wanted to make sure that it was instilled in me that, we are musical people. And even from my mom's side, there's a bunch of Hawaiian music in the family. So he was always kind of putting it on me, but he would just give me like every birthday would be a new instrument. We would go up to visit him in the summer. I'd stay with him in the summer in California, and he would have a music studio where he would have all these instruments I could let loose and sit in the studio session with him. So gave me the foundation for sure, a very solid foundation. What was I doing? I was at the university. I graduated with my bachelor's. I started teaching, and I think, well, I'd already been kind of messing with a couple of bands and doing some cover music and just, getting in the scene. So that was already there. Graduated, was teaching at the university, and the university didn't have as many classes available for me to teach. So I was given the farming opportunity, and I took the farming job. And down the road, I'm kind of 7-8 years deep now, working for a different farm. We can talk about that later. But music stumbled upon me in a way as a career choice, I guess you could say. I was sitting in a bar and somebody asked me to jump into this Instagram competition with the Vitals. And from there, we won that competition, the Vitals 808, much mahalos to them. And they produced with Kapena, De Lima, they produced Hey Kanaka. It was just kind of like a, a fun thing that I did. And then it hit the radio. And then the radios were all hitting me up saying like, hey, we need you to give us more music, and we need an interview, and we need all these things. So the career kind of approached me. And, I thought, okay, well, yeah, maybe I'll go on tour and I'll do this thing. But, maybe I'll release 2 more songs. And, by the luck of the draw, maybe they both became hits, right? Hey Kanaka, and then it moved to Smoke All Day and Utu Bang Bang. So, yeah, the career... I don't know. It'd be kind of boastful to say that I was destined for this or something, right? But my brother had set that super solid foundation, opportunities that presented themselves. I went with those opportunities, and there was a quote I had from somebody. But basically, the more prepared you are for when these opportunities show up, that's what shows a certain skill set, right? That you're ready for that opportunity. And so we just take those opportunities, try to stay as prepared as we can. And so yeah, but I mean, I love being a musician, but I actually work 5 days a week as a farmer, and musicianship comes like as a side hobby. And that's kind of how I always envisioned it, right? So when I was a sophomore in high school, somebody said, what are you going to do with your life? So, well, I'm going to move to the Big Island, gonna work on a big old beautiful farm, be a doctorate in Hawaiian language, and I'm going to be a traveling musician on the side for fun. All of those are really radical. So choose something else. And I'm pretty close. To, knocking them all down. But to be able to have that as just a side hobby, of course it makes the income, but not to be that every, like, no offense to my friends, but some people like to play the hotels 4 or 5 days a week, 3 hours at a time. And it's just not something I'm willing to do. Not the career choice that I really feel comfortable with.
What has been your enjoyment in life?
Just being able to follow my passions and to create a living off of the passions that I have deep within me. And then to be able to utilize that as a father and to have all of these, different, I don't know about weapons, but, things in my arsenal where I can pull out and, be intelligent and focused with my children and show them the importance of education. And then also to show them the wild side and that you can let loose and be a free spirit and express yourself. And then also to, show them the importance of the foods that we eat and the flavors that they get so excited about. Because that's to them, right? That's what they're really grasping. Like, oh, I love oranges. Oh, I love poi. Like, yeah. That's the good stuff. But that would be my big enjoyment, just to feel that fulfillment. Because in every career, you're going to have the struggles, you're going to have the letdowns and the failures and whatever it may be. But it's the end of the day and how fulfilled you feel just off of that journey. That's really where I feel that happiness and that enjoyment.
A lot of experiences in your career, which has been some of the memorable ones. And knowing that you've been having quite the success in your career, what is something that you wish you would have known when you first started out in your career?
The second question is going to be the hard one. Highlights definitely would be the Ho'olaule'a in Hilo, the KWXX Ho'olaule'a. That's where I've been living and calling my home since 2010, and watching these concerts go on for many years, and then being able to finally be on that main stage, where I think we just packed out all the street. If you know Ho'olaule'a in Hilo, it's like a block party. They cut off the road down the Bayfront, and it was just a sea of people as far as we could see, and it was like home feeling. We just came home from our first tour with the Green, and there was I think it was the first tour. No, I think it was the first tour with Sudden Rush. But we came home after doing this, traveling thing. Like, wow, that's fun. But I love being home, and then coming home to that giant crowd. And you'll see it if you look it up on YouTube. You'll see that's where we have the hands waving, and it's just a sea of hands. That was great. And then just recently, last year, I was asked to jump on board with Ola Brew. So I'm full-time farm manager with Ola Brew, helping out there. And we're creating a tea leaf farm. The idea of developing the okolehau industry for Hawaiian grown plants. So that is really exciting. And in a few months, I will be jumping onto a 10-acre farm lot that is under the Department of Ag. And basically, you have to show that you're a bona fide farmer and show that you've been making income full time as a farmer for so many years. I think it's 2. And I definitely have that. And this opened up this opportunity for me to have a house, a property with all kinds of fruit trees already planted, while maintaining myself as a farmer for Ola Brew and a musician on the downtime. And so that's kind of my highlights. What do I wish somebody would have told me or would have known at the beginning of my career? Well, again, I got to say thank you to my oldest brother, because I think he filled in a lot of those blanks before I ever decided to have a career in music. Like, he told me, oh, just register everything you have as a registered work through ASCAP. I said, oh, it's $100 to be an ASCAP member. He said, $100 will be pennies to you in a while. Like, when you become a real musician, that's going to be for real. So I had, I think, a chorus of a song, and I had Kanaka had a verse and a chorus, and he said, you have to register it 100%, do it all, everything that you have, even if it's just 2 lines from a song, register it as a work. One day somebody's going to try and take that from you, and they won't be able to, because that's your registered work. And I was maybe 3 years before I made Kanaka. And when Kanaka came out, there definitely were publishers that were trying to bite at the bit, and they said, whoa, how come this song is fully registered to a Kaikena Scanlan? I'm like, well, yeah, that's my work. That's my art. That's my song. So, all of those helpful tips were for sure, useful in the career. Knowing your audience and knowing your market in a way was helpful. But I utilized that, aspect of it in the forefront, right? That I'm doing this for the Hawaiian people, and I'm singing Hawaiian songs for identification of our people. So that is huge and was very helpful. Hit the niche, and then staying true to who you are. That everybody's gonna see through all of that. That's very important because as you grow, you start to develop yourself, right, and see who you could be. But at some point, your audience knows you in a way. You gotta stay true to yourself so that you're not just being this wild person reaching an identity. I would say what I wish I did know: work on your merch. I don't have my merch up yet, and we're working on it. But yeah, that's huge. It's something I'm finding out now. So I guess yeah, for sure, finding out now that you'll make probably more money off of your merch than you do on your music. And that's based off of your value that you have within your audience, not the size of your audience, right? Because you think, or most people would think, oh, I need 8 million streams and then I'll make this much money and I'll do this, that. But if you have 50 people who want to buy a $40 jacket, you know what I mean? You're making good money, right?
I could say your motto talked about as you talked about here, get back to the island, get back to the land, the people and whatnot, the Hawaiian language stuff is
definitely intimidating in many of experiences. I've been told plenty of things like, oh, this is the ambassador of the Hawaiian people. I just wanted to tell my story and who I am and where I come from. But it is definitely humbling to have that honor of being able to have my voice be almost, I don't know how to say it, like authenticated in a way. I don't have to like struggle to convince people that I'm a Hawaiian speaking for Hawaiians. That's also very humbling. And to be able to just have, like I said, that free expression. But at the same time, it's in some ways unrealistic, I guess. I like to say I did nothing. It's really simple. And I don't understand why I'm being put on this pedestal. And I'm just a poor little Hawaiian boy who got kicked out of school in high school and tried to struggle to figure out this thing in college and had a ukulele on my hand, right? And I'm definitely far from being the only guy like that. All focused our energies into something with more intent, more purpose that we would all end up. I strive for this to be like a common thing that everybody's, trying to learn Hawaiian language. Everybody's trying to grow food for the kids and everybody's trying to teach all the knowledge that they have and pass it down to ensure that our people are intelligent in the future. So in a way, it's super humbling and pretty intimidating to know that there's all that pressure. But at the same time, I like to downplay it and think anybody could do this, right? I wasn't put in some kind of master class. I wasn't, the valedictorian of anything. I wasn't none of that. I'm just a dude, right? And I like to keep that personification also, that I'm nobody. I'm just one of you guys. And so I think that's what hits the most with my music, is that I'm relatable, is what I was told. But at the same time, that's my goal, is to not be the only one doing this, right? And so that everybody has this example that we all can.
Now, you mentioned about your adversity. You mentioned about yourself as an artist. You mentioned about, what you stand for in life. Who are some of your influences?
Gabby Pahinui, George Helm, Bob Marley, the Freedom Fighters, right? All of those. My mother is a big influence. She raised all 7 of her kids as a, widow and remarried and, fought her way, of course, with all my family and all the, big musicians that I try to replicate. Aipohaku.
Now, going back to one of your favorite hobbies, obviously, it's big for the environment. It's big for the community. What can you say about raising, because I know you raise pigs, the farm life, raising animals, and, because you've done farming, do you have a favorite thing that you love to farm or a favorite thing that you love to cook?
I'd say my favorite thing to eat and farm is pigs. It's one of the most rewarding and most, labor intensive things. So to be able to, create like bacon off of a pig that you birthed out of a mother pig, and then you helped raise and feed and all these things, train, and then you get to see the final product as you eat at your meal with bacon. That's like, there's nothing like it. Just in general, farm life is like meditation in a way, because I'd come from these tours or these big shows where they fly us around. And, there'd be like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday on 3 different islands, and then come back Monday morning first thing in the morning, and I head straight to the farm because nobody else was working on Monday. And the pigs really don't care who you are, what you just did this weekend. They're looking at you like, you better feed me. Like, where's my food? What are we doing? Hurry up. And yeah, that really humbling experience is really like my meditation, like where I could hone back in to my Zen space. And like, you know, it's dirty, it's sweaty, and it's hot, and it's hard work. And sometimes it's rainy also, so you're in the mud. But there's 20 acres with me and like 100 something pigs and no humans. So I'm just in my zone, getting back to the routine. And that's the thing too, is that with farming, the routine doesn't slow down or stop, right? The grass doesn't wait for anybody. It's going to keep on going, keep on going. And if you're not there, then that's when everything falls apart. I also like to tell people, you know, people say, wow, I love this. Farming is so fun. And so, you know, one day, nice, it's great, it's fun, it's easy. 1 week, yeah, you know, it's fun, it's less fun, but, you know, it's still pretty easy. You get like a month, you're like, oh, starting to take a toll on me. You come back after a year, day in, day out, 1 full year, then you know what farming is all about, because it's that grit to be there every single day, and no matter what, no matter how, things still got to get done. And you know, I think maybe we've come a little accustomed to all the, you know, the fancies of being in this new modern age where we have everything automated and we can, you know, click a couple buttons and it all just happened, right? But to be there and to look at it like, man, I just did so much work yesterday. It's like nothing happened. I got to do so much work today. And like, man, I can only imagine. Look at all the things that have to get done tomorrow. That's an everyday thing. And so I love that. That to me is like part of my favorite part of farming, is to come back and know that there's so much work that has been done to get us to this point, and there's so much work left, and it's never going to stop unless we want the whole farm to stop. So got to keep working.
You mentioned the tour life, of course.
Brooklyn Bowl was definitely a great venue in Hilo, being back in that home crowd. But it's just fun, you know, because we mostly hit up the west coast of America, Saipan, but it was just a solo Bay Area, down to San Diego, all the way up to Portland, Washington area, Vegas for sure. We went to Boise one time, played in Salt Lake. So being in such a foreign place, feeling so foreign, and hearing people still being able to scream your lyrics, which are like Hawaiian language, you know, licks, it's like amazing to think, wow, it traveled all the way out here. Like, you guys know what this stuff is all about. I will say one of our highlights on all of the tours was in Utah, Salt Lake City. I woke up and I saw snow outside as we were driving. I said, what happened, boys? It's snowing. Like, yeah, it's been snowing for like a long time, like the past 45 minutes. Nobody woke me up. Come on, you gotta come on. Where's the snow angels? Like, snow angels, we can't do snow angels. We're in the middle of the city now. I said, I do not care. The next place we see, an open lot. And then boom, right there, I said, boom, there's O'Reilly's. And I had like a big grass field that was just covered in snow. This is it, boys. And then we walked out. We all did snow angels, got drone footage, GoPro selfie footage. Yeah, that was the highlight so far of all my touring.
So you mentioned about the present life and what you're doing right now, what you have coming up, future goals, future projects in your career.
So yeah, the album has been a long time coming, but we hope to get it out ASAP. I really want to jump into more features. Did a song with Vehile called Stolen. You can check that out. Just, yeah, more projects, more content. I really just want to open up and just start pushing. And it's always been, you know, at the delay of the album. And so still yet, you know, we're going to kind of wait until the album does drop. I really want to work with more artists. I have a farm opening up called Ka'ikena's Farm, which we're now selling fresh produce to Ola Brew and hopefully restaurants soon. Yeah, then you can look for more products from Ka'ikena's Farm.
As far as artist collaboration, who would you want to work with? I know you probably have like...
Oh, we're going to name drop right now. One of the big goals I've always had was Damian Marley. And I got to sit down and reason with him for a little bit, talk some history, talk some politics. The legend Fiji and J Boogs, right? They're in the same little collaboration house. Hopefully we can make that happen soon. Yeah, those are like the three big ones that we have to get, like, hopefully next year. You know, I'm just also inspired by the new up and coming artists, you know, the Olel Hawaii that's coming out. And so to be able to work with the new artists, with the new talent, like Vehile for sure was real, you know, honorable to me to have somebody who's got some prestige in the music industry with her family, but then also be this young, talented artist that wants to make an impact for her people. That's what I I pray for. I pray one day I get to work on all those projects. You know, it's like exciting.
Now you mentioned about the new artists coming up. You mentioned about, music in itself. What's your thoughts on, the new, what's your thoughts on the music scene?
Hip hop is blowing up. There's going to be a lot more talent in the Hawaiian hip hop department and the Hawaiian hip hop genre in general. And this is kind of outlined through my career, but I think that we have been plagued with candy Hawaiian music, and I don't think we need to make Hawaiian music. And I do understand it makes money and people enjoy it, but it takes away from our identity in a way, the real candy stuff. How many love songs do we need on the radio compared to what's actually going on around us, right? We're covered up by all this nice fluffy music. I think that there should be more content driven, more contextual content on the radio. I have hope that we have started a trend in a way, or started a movement of more conscious Hawaiian music. It's not the first generation of people who had candy music on the radio, right? Hawaiian music, but I think we should play more Hawaiian reggae music rather than Hawaiian music. So to make that differentiation, identity that this comes from Hawaii and this is Hawaiian music, that's important.
When people look back on your career and all the success that you've had, what you want your legacy to be?
Inspirational, and he allowed this King Don Juan or Ke'alakava'oho created that path for Hawaiian language in music on the radio. Just to have that be the legacy, that we allowed more of an opportunity for more Hawaiian language speakers to create music, that's a big one. Long term, could really push the boundaries of what we're allowed to do and say on this podcast. Create the independence of our nation, right? And to create that foundation of sustainability so that we can feed ourselves as a whole, right? Intelligence in music and creative artisticness, and also in sustenance and food, right? That we can create that identity, and that we can all, feel empowered by it. I hope that is what I leave behind for everyone.
It's been a pleasure to interview you, my friend. Just want to say thank you so much. Appreciate your time. Wish you all the best, brother.
Appreciate you, Justin. Hope the same for you. Nothing but up. And, keep at it. Keep pushing.
Appreciate it.
Much aloha.